So here's the exploded view for the steering assembly for my tractor that I pulled off of the New Holland website. And right here is where they actually break down the steering valve. So you can get the steering valve complete, has one part number, which will bankrupt you, and then if you're going to repair the existing valve, it breaks it down and shows you all the parts individually. So what I'm mainly concerned with is the seal up at the top here, because my leak appears to have been all through up the top here. So on the parts call out, there are parts 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 2 is just like a dust seal that goes and actually covers the snap ring. 3 is the snap ring. 4 is this strange, almost like a backing ring. It's got a very unique shape to it. 5 is this washer that has a bend in it by design. And 6 is this packing. So if we look at the parts list, part 2, which is that dust seal, is NSS, not sold separately. Part 3 is the snap ring. Part 4 is not sold separately. That would actually be the strange backing ring. Part 5, which is that metal washer with the bend in it, they're calling it a sealing washer. That does have its own part number. And part 6 is the actual packing itself, is not sold separately. And the reason why is because at the very end of the parts list, there's a couple of parts that do not have call-outs, and one of them is a seal kit. And it tells you that the kit includes parts 2, 4, and 6. So the part number from New Holland for that is an 865-85473. And when I look that up, I find it online, and all the photographs show the same 3 parts. This part right here is the strange backing ring, only in the new kit, apparently it's made out of almost like a bronze material. The packing, and then the actual dust cover or sealing washer, or sealing ring, or whatever they want to call it, the one that goes on the very top above the clip. I found this in several locations online, including several listings on eBay. So I found this seal kit online for $31 with free shipping on eBay. Then I saw this one, and it caught my eye. It's only about $4 more, and what I like about this one is it's an OEM part. It's actual genuine. If we look at the bag on the back, we can actually see that it's actually a C&H part. You can actually see it says Case New Holland right on it. So I was like, all right, that's the one I want to get. Then I noticed this one, and I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. That appears to have the 3 pieces that the other kit has, but it also looks like it comes with a new snap ring and a couple O-rings and a couple other little pieces here. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I wonder why that is. And it says, oh, it's for International Harvester. But then when you look down in the mumbo jumbo there, specifications, it says that it also replaces this part. So I was like, oh. So I wonder what's going on with that. So remember I told you that I found the service manual for this valve online. It's a PDF file you can get direct from TRW Ross. Well, here's the exploded view of the same valve. Okay, here's the same parts we're talking about. All right, it describes the parts separately, but then there's a parts matrix, a part number matrix in the manual. And you have several parts that are identical no matter what model. As long as it's an HGA, they're all going to use these parts. But then certain parts in that valve, depending on the capacity of the valve, are going to be different. So then you have to look up your model number. So for instance, I have an HGA 10, so I'm looking at the third one down. So according to this, they all use the same shaft input seal assembly, which is 2, 4, and 5 seal kit. The part number is an HG 500007. So a completely different part number. Why? Because it's not a Case New Holland part number. This is an original part number for TRW. And when I look that up, lo and behold, this is what I find. Does that look familiar? That's the one the guy's selling on eBay for 30 bucks. He's selling probably a kind of a generic version of it. So then I look up this part number and I find out, oh, you know what else is included? It turns out these right here, these O-rings, one or both of these O-rings are used in this for the cover. In other words, see this groove right here? It was stuck to the body and I didn't even realize it. That's an O-ring right there. And I did find out the part number for that O-ring and looked it up, and it turns out it's like another $4 for the O-ring. So you might as well buy this kit and get the O-ring. I'm not sure if this other O-ring is for the other cap or not on the bottom. So by the way, depending on if you buy this from like the cheapest source possible, it's like 30 bucks. I think it's the one on eBay. And then if you want to buy like a one that comes from like a name brand blister packed part, it's like 50 bucks. So then as far as the valve itself, if I replace these seals in the top here, what else is in there really? Well, there is another seal down inside that's kind of an unusual one. It's almost like a big, large rubber band. It actually lives right here in this section. So I don't remember what the original Case New Holland part number is for this, but I do know when I looked it up, it's close to like 50 bucks. But the folks at Midwest Steering have it on their website for $23.65. And of course the part number is different because they're actually giving the part number, I think, which is the part number that I got from the parts matrix here. So there it is right there, number 36. So 36 is one of those parts that changes depending on the model. So for my model, it's an 032618, which is exactly the part number shown right here, an 032618. And then somewhere on here, I think it says here, it actually explains the way you can tell for sure if this is the one that fits your HGA is that the part listed as number 51 should be approximately 1.623 inches tall. And what they're talking about is they're talking about this metal band right here. So if I set my digital calipers to 1.623 inches and I put the points on there, it's almost perfect. So with the exception of a few little O-rings here and there, getting this and this pretty much takes care of the majority of the seals in this thing. So Midwest Steering had such a good deal on that particular seal right there that I figured, oh, well, let me see what else they've got. And they've got a whole kit. And I'm like, oh, great. Look, they want $98.50 plus shipping for the kit. Look what's in the kit. The seal that I just found for $23.65 on their website. And then these are the parts that come in that HG seal kit. Only, it's oddly enough, they're not showing the retaining clip. There's the two O-rings. And then it comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 little itty bitty O-rings. That's it. But remember, I already figured out I can get this HG 500007 for between 30 and 50. So why not just buy one of those and then that seal there, right? These little tiny O-rings, if I even need them, I could probably source them locally. So then I was searching on their site and lo and behold, oh, look, they have the HG whatever. Look how much they want for it. This is beyond logic. $95 for that or $98.50 for that with a bunch of little O-rings and that $20-something seal, right? So I don't know. So I am going to order from them, but I'm just not going to order that HG one from them. I'm going to order this thing and one other part they have. Going back to the New Holland website, Exploded View, the Ford part number is or the Case New Holland part number is D as in Delta 2NN3 D as in Delta 650A. And what that is this big plastic, almost like bushing thing that goes in the top of the steering column. It's this thing right here. That part on the Case New Holland website is $43, and on Messick's it's $45 for the original Case New Holland one. However, you can actually use the TRW Ross site, and I actually also found it on Midwest Steering. And what they have is they have what they're calling a 11305, which is their part number. Tube jacket bearing for HGA and HGB Hydroguide columns. And it actually says right here that it's Ford, New Holland, and it's got this number, this D2 number that I found. So that verifies that that's a cross for that. And then, as if that wasn't enough, in case you're really not sure, they give you the dimensions of 1.70 inches, 1.75, and then it's 0.90 deep. But here's my favorite part. They have it on their site for $13.90 as opposed to the 43 or 45. And again, the reason why is because they're selling it as a original. There's actually several different manufacturer's numbers here. Alice Chalmers, Case, Ford New Holland, Parker TRW, okay, Ross number. So that's going to be the original. And if you guys want that number, it's a 063980. 063980. But you can search for that, and unless you have a Parker Ross distributor that gives you really good pricing, you're probably not going to be able to beat the $13.90 here. The only thing is that this is a plus shipping, but I'll order a couple different things from them, and hopefully in the end it'll work out all right. Another bit of good news is that I was able to find out that this needle bearing in here, that feels kind of crunchy to me. I ended up finding on the Case New Holland website, in the parts breakout, they actually listed the dimensions of the bearing. So I was able to use that and find that there's a generic part number for this bearing. It's actually a pretty common needle bearing, so I'm going to replace this with a brand new one. So I'm just going to knock this out. I've got a socket that is about the right diameter to hit that edge of the bearing without damaging the cover here. I'll press this out if it's going to be stubborn, just seeing if it's, it looks like it's moving on its own, so I will definitely press in the new bearing. I just wanted to do this a little bit more quickly than setting up the press. The reason why I want to get this bearing now, even before the new one is here, is because I want to see whether or not this has a hole in the outside, and it does not. Because there's two versions of this bearing. There's a version that has a hole on the outside, which is an oil feed hole. So on some applications, this bearing must sit in a place where there's a groove to feed oil through the hole and keep that bearing lubricated. In this case here, it doesn't have that. And that's probably just a matter of that this particular application, we're talking about very low RPMs. I mean, basically, how fast can you turn the wheel, right? It's more of a load situation on the bearing, not a high RPM situation. I was also curious to see whether or not, once I have this bearing out, if I clean it up a little bit, whether or not there's actually a number directly on the bearing. And there is. This bearing's made in Germany. Might not be showing up on the camera, but right here it says SCE 1412, which is the generic bearing number that I found online. And this bearing can be found as a cheap import for as little as $8 with free shipping on eBay, or if you want to hold out for a little bit better of a brand name, you might pay $10 or $12 and shipping and get into this bearing for around $20. I kind of split the difference and bought a middle of the road bearing off of Amazon with free prime shipping for like $12.